Here we are at week 3 of the NFL. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do my week 3 predictions. But first, I'm going to go over my week 2 predictions and go over my overall record. So, week 2 was so messy. A lot of teams disappointed me, and I ended up going 7-9. The Dolphins, I picked them to win. They lost to the Bills. They had that injury with Tua. Skylar Thompson's going to be their starting quarterback now. It doesn't look good for them. James Cook, I believe, is the running back for the Bills, just ran all over them, and Josh Allen was efficient enough. I chose the Saints at the last second to beat the Cowboys, and they did. Derek Carr and Alvin Kamara rubbed their nutsacks all over the Cowboys' face. It was awesome. I loved it. Derek Carr looked efficient as hell, and Alvin Kamara is just a beast. I chose the Lions to beat the Bucks, and they lost in a very competitive game that the Lions could have won. They had a lot of chances to win at the end of the game. They just couldn't capitalize on it. Jared Goff threw a few bad interceptions, whatever. Baker Mayfield, he looks legit. Again, he looks incredible. And that's going to make the NFC South very competitive. I chose the Niners to beat the Vikings, and I knew something in me should have said that I should have picked the Vikings at the last second. But alas, I was wrong. The Vikings beat the Niners. The Niners are a little banged up right now, but Sam Darnold had a very efficient game yet again, and he led to the Vikings being 2-0. Niners fall 1-1, and they are not at the top of the NFC West. That's very strange to see, especially this early on. I picked the Chargers to beat the Panthers. No surprise there. Panthers suck, undoubtedly. I chose the Colts to beat the Packers, and that didn't turn out. Anthony Richardson threw 3 picks. Malik Willis proved everybody wrong. He didn't have to do a whole lot. It was the run game mainly that kind of dominated the whole game. I think they had over 200 rushing yards in total. And Malik Willis, from what I saw, made some pretty nice throws. And they had a chance. The Colts had a chance to come back at the end and win, but alas, they couldn't do enough. Those 3 picks really killed them. I chose the Jets to beat the Titans, and it was a pretty close game. Aaron Rodgers, he's looking a little bit better. He made some solid throws, and they just don't excite me, though. That's the thing. That defense isn't really living up to that name. But the Titans, that defense looks pretty good, looks pretty solid. It's just that Will Levis made a few mistakes, just like he did in week 1, had a weird turnover that shouldn't have happened, but oh well. I chose the Patriots to beat the Seahawks. It was a very close, competitive game. They lost in overtime by a field goal. And, yeah, that didn't happen. Geno Smith, on the top of the NFC West, he looks really efficient. He looks really good. And that's going to be a fun team to watch, I believe, this year. I chose the Jags to beat the Browns, and they failed us. The Jags suck. Trevor Lawrence said it himself. They suck. How could you lose to Deshaun Watson? He's nowhere near as good as he was back in, 2019, 2020? He hasn't been that good. Deshaun Watson just kind of sucks. Come on. How do you do that? Everyone had high expectations for the Jags, and now they're 0-2. I chose the Commanders to beat the Giants, and I was right, but they didn't score a touchdown. Jaden Daniels had an okay game. It's just that he hasn't thrown it a touchdown yet. Daniel Jones didn't look that bad. I can't remember the name of the receiver he kept throwing to. I think it starts with an M. That connection might be pretty good, might lead them to some wins later on in the season. But alas, their kicker was injured, and they couldn't kick PATs. They tried to go for 2-point conversions, and it didn't work out. They lost by 3. Oh, yeah. Apparently, they're the second team in the Super Bowl era to score 3 touchdowns, not give up a touchdown, and still lose. The Commanders only kicked field goals. 7 field goals, to be exact. That was fucking hysterical. The Giants, they suck. Then, my Raiders proved me wrong. I thought they were. I picked the Ravens to beat the Raiders. But, alas, the Raiders' defense picked it up. Not the defense picked it up. It was a very defensive game in the first half. The Raiders' offense picked it up in the second half. And so did the Ravens' offense as well. It was a very boring first half, and the second half was very competitive. A lot of great plays from both sides of the ball. But the Ravens played down to competition. They should be a lot better than this. We expect better from them, especially with the talents of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. What the hell? But alas, it was the play calling that killed them. Raiders came out with a victory, thank God. Max Crosby was there. Gardner Minshew definitely picked it up in the second half after that bad interception. And he is, I think, second or tied for most passing yards. He has the most completions and the highest completion percentage. He's doing pretty solid. If they can keep it up, let's hope they do. I chose the Rams to beat the Cardinals, and they just got banged up. They got butt fucked by the Cardinals, 41-10. Kyler Murray posted a perfect quarterback passer rating. I don't know the difference between either, but he looked incredible. Him and Marvis Harrison Jr. had a great connection, mainly in the first quarter. I don't know if he had receptions after the first quarter. He had like over 100, I think 200 yards from well over 100 yards on 4 receptions and a few touchdowns. That's going to be a great connection. And the Rams, it's sad to see them all banged up because they looked very competitive and they looked very solid and strong against the Lions in week 1. But alas, with all these injuries, especially with Nakua and Kupp out, it looks like Kupp's going to be out. They're going to be banged up and they're going to have a hard time getting back into any sort of competitive state, I see. I chose the Chiefs to beat the Bengals, and they won by 1. And people are going to call it a very controversial call at the end of the game. I think it was the right call, that being a pass interference. But the Chiefs don't look like the super team that they could be. Patrick Mahomes threw 2 bad interceptions this game. Did he? I just want to look it up to see if he actually did throw 2 interceptions. He did, yeah. He threw 2 bad interceptions. Just bad reads, it looks like. Of course, who am I to say? But the Bengals were in it. They're very competitive. They are 0-2, but they are very competitive. And I don't think it's over for them yet, even though they are at the bottom of the AFC North? Yeah, they're at the bottom of it now, sitting at 0-2 along with the Ravens. But I don't think it's the end of the world for them. They're still very competitive, and I want to see more of them. Then I chose the Steelers to beat the Broncos. That happened. It looked like a very boring game. It was just a stupid defensive game. A stupidly boring game. Bo Nix doesn't look good. Justin Fields was efficient enough. He did enough to win the game. And that defense is just so damn good. Then Sunday Night Football was very boring. It was bad. I chose the Texans to beat the Bears. They did, 19-13. Caleb Williams doesn't look so hot. He has the athletic abilities, but throwing into triple coverage after escaping a sack, come on, dude. You got to do better than that. And that Bears defense is pretty solid. It did keep Stroud to 19 points for the entire game, but it's not the end of the world for the Texans. They are 2-0. They are sitting atop the AFC South. We'll see what happens from there. And then Monday Night Football, the Eagles embarrassed themselves, losing 22-21 by letting Kirk Cousins have a 70-yard drive down the field to score a touchdown, win the game. That was the only drive that Kirk Cousins looked pretty good. Other than that, it was Bijan Robinson the whole game and Saquon Barkley, even though Jalen Hurts did have a few great throws throughout the game and a lot of he ran a lot. That if Saquon caught the ball at the end, game would have been over. If they went for it, and even if they turned over on downs, the Falcons, all they had to do was just drive down the field to get a field goal. They wouldn't have had the mindset of getting a touchdown. So anyways, that was recapping week 2. I went 7-9. It was bad. A lot of teams disappointed me. Now let's finally move on to my picks for week 3. I should do those segments a little quicker next time, but we live and learn. So week 3 starts off Thursday Night Football. The Patriots visiting the Jets. I'm choosing the Jets. The Patriots, they have looked very competitive these past 2 weeks, but I think the Jets are just going to be a little more solid. I think they're a little more complete, even though I think the Patriots defense looks a little better. I just think that the Jets are a little more competitive. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to get back into the groove of things, even though that Jets defense isn't as strong as they're supposed to be. It doesn't look like it, at least. I'm just thinking Aaron Rodgers might get back into the swing of things and get another win in a very competitive game. It might be close, I think. I think it's going to be pretty close. This is going to be Aaron Rodgers' first official, complete AFC East matchup. Let's see how it goes. Then, moving on to Sunday, we got the Giants visiting the Browns. I initially chose the Browns at first, but and even though that defense is really solid for the Browns, I somehow think the Giants are gonna pull out a win here. I think Daniel Jones is gonna get back into the groove of things. He didn't look terrible in Week Two's game. I didn't think he looked terrible. I watched the highlights. I thought he made some pretty good throws, and I think he's just gonna get a little bit better. Deshaun Watson, he doesn't look so hot. He had a few throws, he had a few athletic plays, but at the end of the day, he's just not the same quarterback that he used to be. I don't think that offense is as good as the Giants' offense, or the ability. I don't think they have the ability to be as good. But actually, both of these offenses are kind of sad. But I think the Giants just might edge them out a bit. So I'm choosing the Giants to win this game. Then we got the Packers visiting the Titans in what people are calling the Malik Willis revenge game. Even though Malik Willis himself has said that he doesn't really care, doesn't see it as a revenge game. I'm gonna choose the Packers on this, even though the Titans look pretty solid. That defense looks pretty solid. I don't trust that offense. Will Levis still hasn't come out to be a strong quarterback. He just doesn't look super efficient, and he just might make some silly mistakes. Let's hope Josh Jacobs in the running game can punch it down. Even though I think that Titans defensive line is pretty strong, I just think that Josh Jacobs is too good of a running back to have that stop him in his way. And Malik Willis can make some pretty good runs too. And if he's just efficient enough, I think they're going to pull it out this week. I think they're going to get the win. Then we got the Bears visiting the Colts. I'm going to give this win to the Colts. They're going to get their first win of the game. Hopefully Anthony Richardson gets into the groove of things, because there's no reason a man with that arm talent is 0-2 right now. He looks great. He just has to stop making those dumb interceptions. They looked pretty bad. And Caleb Williams doesn't look so hot. He has the athletic abilities, but same thing with Anthony Richardson. He just makes some bad throws. He just doesn't make good reads all the time. Although I'm practically counting both of them as one-year rookies, because we didn't see much of Anthony Richardson in year one because he got injured. They're kind of in the same boat. But although that Bears defense is solid, I think Anthony Richardson is going to pull out a win with this game. That's just what I think. Looks like a majority of the picks are going to the Colts, 57-43. I'm hoping the Colts finally get a win, because I like Anthony Richardson. He's very fun to watch. He's not boring, and he's not bad. He just makes dumb mistakes. Then we got the Texans at the Vikings. A majority of these picks are going to the Texans, 71-29. I'm choosing the Vikings on this, because even though the Texans went up against a pretty solid Bears defense in week 2, it just didn't look that good. They didn't look super strong. And Joe Mixon, he might be out this next week. We'll see. But Sam Darnold and Justin Jefferson, that connection is going to keep that offense alive. And that Vikings defense is really strong. The Niners were without CMC again last week, but that backup, Mason, I think his name, he's pretty solid. He was a great replacement in week 1. I didn't see much of it in week 2. I didn't watch much of the highlights. But what I saw, Sam Darnold looked really efficient, and that Brian Flores defense on the Vikings is really strong. They gave the Niners a run for their money. And I think if it's enough to stop the Niners, it's going to be enough to stop the Texans. So I'm choosing the Vikings to beat this game in this 2-0 matchup. They're going to come out on top and be 3-0. 1 second. This is the first 2-0 matchup. Then we got the Eagles going to the Saints. I'm going to choose the Saints. Derek Carr and Rashid Shaheed, that connection's great. Derek Carr, that offensive line is protecting him better, giving him time to throw the ball more efficiently, giving him time to launch those deep throws. When Derek Carr has the time, he can make those deep throws. And Alvin Kamara, he's a beast. The Saints' run game looks great. They are the most explosive offense right now, scoring 40-plus points in those first 2 games of the season. Week 1 was against the Panthers, but week 2 was against the Cowboys. The Cowboys were supposed to be really good this season, apparently. But Derek Carr and Alvin Kamara, like I said before, they drug their nutsacks all over their faces. It was hysterical to see. I loved it. When the Cowboys lose, everyone loves it. And the Eagles, they didn't look so hot in the first half against the Falcons. What's up with the primetime games this season? What's up with these boring first halves? Come on. Even with the what I think is probably the best game of the season, the Rams and the Lions, to open up Sunday Night Football. Even that was a very boring and uneventful first half. Come on, these teams got to pick it up. But Jalen Hurts definitely picked it up in the second half. He looked very strong. He looked like he was making some pretty good throws, although he had that game-losing interception at the end when they tried to drive down the field to at least get a field goal to win the game. Other than that, that Eagles offense looks pretty solid if they can keep it up with that. But I think the Saints offense is way too explosive, and that defense, keeping the Cowboys to only 19 points, I think that defense is going to be the ultimate deciding factor in this game, because we know this offense can score with Clint Kubiak as that offensive coordinator. They got rid of Pete Carmichael. I think is calling plays for the Broncos now. That's not working out so hot. Clint Kubiak coming from the Kyle Shanahan tree. He looks great. He's making some pretty damn good calls, and Derek Carr looks so damn comfortable. I'm choosing the Saints to win this game, and Derek Carr and the Saints are going to improve to 3-0. Then we got a very, very just hard game for me to choose. Chargers going to the Steelers. I'm choosing the Steelers, though. I think it's that defense. That defense is just so damn good. Mike Tomlin can call some great defense. And I don't think the short throws and the run game from the Chargers is going to be enough to overcome that strong defense, especially with TJ Watt. The Chargers, they are 2-0. They look pretty good. But I don't think this short run game and then throw it not super deep, but just throw it enough to get a first down or something, I don't think that's going to keep up with this strong Steelers defense. And the Steelers offense, although not good, they've only scored one touchdown this whole season, I think. Yeah, they've only scored one touchdown. I think Justin Fields looks comfortable in this offense. He's making the throws he needs to make. He's not making mistakes. I think he's the only quarterback without an interception so far. I'm picking the Steelers to win. The Mike Tomlin bullshit's riding. The Mike Tomlin no losing record is going to go strong with this game. Then we got the Broncos visiting the Buccaneers. This is one of the easiest things to choose. It's going to be the Bucs. Come on. Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. Very strong offense. Baker Mayfield's cooking it up. The Broncos, they suck. They're 0-2. Bo Nix doesn't look that good. It's just they're not playing good football, the Broncos. This is one of the easiest picks for me. The Buccaneers are going to demolish them. Then we got the Panthers visiting the Raiders for their home opener. I'm choosing the Raiders, no doubt about it. Panthers, hot garbage. And it sucks because they had to bench Bryce Young, and they're starting Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton has never lost to the Raiders, but Andy Dalton is now in the Panthers, and the Panthers are hot garbage. Adam Thielen's pissed off. They're just not calling strong plays. They only have one touchdown all season. And I think the benching of Bryce Young is good. It sucks for the player. It sucks for his confidence, but he needs it. He needs to sit back and just absorb Andy Dalton, hopefully being able to make a spark for the Panthers. I don't like seeing bad teams like this. We can see bad teams, just not horrible, offensively bad teams, because nothing was going right for the Panthers so far this season. I know it's only week 3. I know only 2 games have been played, but it sucks to see a player's confidence just shattered. And people are calling him a bust. He's the worst first overall pick ever. Just give him some time. He was thrown into an awful situation. He only has 2 wins so far. One against the Strouds, and I can't remember the other one. But the Raiders, that defense is just too damn good. It's too damn strong. They did give up some points against the Ravens, but that was mainly in the second half when the offense picked it up. But Max Crosby threatened Gardner Minshew with death if he didn't pick it up. you see Max Crosby kind of telling him, "We got you. Come on. We believe in you. We need that Gardner Minshew in." And Gardner Minshew did improve. He's making some pretty good throws. He made a really good throw to Devontae Adams, who got his tippy toes on the sidelines. Devontae Adams looks good. Brock Bowers, I feel bad for not starting him in fantasy. I didn't need it last week, but he's looking really damn good. He's making some incredible catches. Brock Bowers is going to be special. I remember in the offseason, I was like, really? A tight end? We already have Mayer. He's a pretty solid tight end. And then, because I don't watch college, I don't know much about college. My girlfriend's brother-in-law basically said Brock Bowers is like one of the greatest tight ends in college football, basically. And I can see it now. He's very efficient. I heard somewhere that tight ends just aren't super efficient when they come into the league, but I think Brock Bowers is going to be very special. He's going to help us out a lot. If we can't get the deep bomb to Adams, we can rely on Brock Bowers. So, I spent way too much time on this game, which is probably the easiest pick. Raiders going to win. But I just like talking about my Raiders. If on these picks, I'm going to talk about the Raiders the most, I believe, just because they're my team. Then we got the Dolphins going to the Seahawks. No question, Seahawks. The Dolphins are without Tua. It sucks. He got a concussion. There's talks about he should leave football. He has money. He should just retire. And I'm of both mindsets. I don't think he's gonna leave. I think Tua, he's put so much of himself into this game that he doesn't want to leave. But I think it is for the better if he does. It's a shame because he's so fun to watch. Tua's great. But he's out for a while. We'll have to wait and see. So for the game, Skylar Thompson's starting, and I don't think it's going to work out all too well for them. They do have the backup who backed up for Lamar Jackson, who started for them in the playoff game in 2021, I think. He's not bad. He's a pretty solid quarterback, but alas, he's not starting. Geno Smith, that defense for the Seahawks, Geno Smith's been pretty efficient all season. He's not fucking up. They're very competitive. That defense is going to be too much for the Dolphins to overcome, especially if there isn't that Tua Tyreek connection. Especially if there isn't that Tua Waddle connection, that Tua Mostert, that Tua Achane connection. They're going to have to rely on that run game, but that defense for the Seahawks, I think, is just too good. Seahawks are winning. Then we got the Ravens at the Cowboys. I'm going with the Ravens here because although they are 0-2, they are a very competitive 0-2, like the Bengals. They're sitting at the bottom of their division with no win, but that offense, it's just too good. They have the players, they got the pieces to be a very good team. They should be one of the best teams in football. Alas, they aren't. They have the potential to be, though. And I don't think the Cowboys are going to bounce right back from getting nutsacks dragged all over their face. I don't think it's the end of the world for the Cowboys. They are 1-1. But that defense was supposed to be really good. They got dropped 40 plus points on. The Ravens, I just have more faith in that offense. I know Dak's a good quarterback, but I trust Lamar more. And Dak just kind of looked a little defeated at the end of the game. I mean, who wouldn't it be after getting 40 plus points on you? He got sacked a few times. Ezekiel Elliott in that run game, it's still very good. So I trust that. I still trust Dak. I think he's good, but I think the Ravens are very hungry for this win. They're going to come back. They're going to get the win, especially at the Cowboys Stadium. It was said that the Cowboys hadn't lost they were 16-0 or something over the last two seasons at home. And then, that's not counting the playoff game where the Packers embarrassed them. And then the Saints broke that record. Very funny. Ravens could win this game. Then we got the Niners at the Rams. I'm choosing the Niners because, both of these teams are banged up. It looks like is it Deebo Samuel who's out for a while? CMC's on IR. The Niners are pretty banged up right now. And without that CMC, who should have been MVP last season, they're going to struggle a bit. Brock Purdy, he still looks pretty good, and he can extend those plays. But the Rams are just way too banged up. I expect a little bit more from them than getting 40 points thrown on them from the Cardinals. And without Kupp and Nakua, I don't think that offense is going to be super efficient. I like Matthew Stafford still, but those are the two receivers that kind of broke it out for them. Niners. Then we got the Lions at the Cardinals. This was a very tough game for me to pick because the Lions seemed like the more complete team, but the Cardinals were super explosive. Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr., that connection was great. I want to see a lot of that this season for the Cardinals. Kyler Murray just came out of nowhere. I didn't think he'd be as good of a quarterback as he was this season. Now, he has been very efficient, but the injuries just kind of fucked with him last season. He came back, he was good, but this Kyler Murray that I saw in this last game, that's the Kyler Murray we need. That's the Kyler Murray that's going to cause trouble for the Niners this season. But I think Hutchinson on the Lions, I think he's just too damn good to let that happen. I'm hoping Jared Goff comes back. He does have a few of those weird moments throughout the season where he just makes some weird throws, makes some weird reads. That Lions defense is fun. That offense is fun. I think they're going to learn from those mistakes from this last game, and I think they're coming out with a victory. But this might be one of the best games of the week. It's going to be close, I think. Then we got the Chiefs at the Falcons. I'm hoping that Kirk Cousins and the Falcons can tip this into their favor, getting that confidence from that game-winning drive. And the Chiefs, they aren't super explosive. That defense is, I think, what's keeping them in. That defense is pretty good. Chris Jones, he's just a game wrecker. Patrick Mahomes, he doesn't look as dominant as he could be. But alas, they're the Chiefs, and the Falcons, they don't look super strong. They don't look super great. And it's just the Chiefs. It's the Chiefs magic. Chiefs. Then, oh yeah, that's Sunday Night Football. What a weird Sunday Night Football. I'm hoping with it being Sunday night, a primetime game, that Kirk Cousins is going to get that magic in him. But they are running on a short week. They did play Monday. They're going to have 6 days. I don't see it. I want it to happen. I want the Falcons to win, but I'm choosing the Chiefs. Then we got our first doubleheader for Monday Night Football this season. We got the Jags at the Bills and the Commanders at the Bengals. Let's start with the Jags first. Bills. It's going to be the Bills. Come on. Jags suck. They look awful. Nothing's working out for them. The Bills, Josh Allen, he looks great. We haven't seen him since Thursday Night Football. He has that extra time. James Cook looks great. That defense is really solid. Von Miller looks solid still. And Josh Allen, man, come on. Josh Allen. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He's very fun to watch. It's going to be the Bills. Then the Commanders at the Bengals. It's going to be I'm going to choose the Bengals because they look more competitive. They were keeping it up with the Chiefs with that strong defense. That offense, T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, they're fun to watch. And that connection with Joe Burrow, it's fun to watch. That is what's going to win this game for them. Damn. They're a very competitive team. It's not the end of the world for them, even though they are 0-2. But the Commanders don't look exciting at all. They do have a win, but they don't look super strong. I'm choosing the Bengals for this. So those are my picks for week 3. I had a very weird week 2. I went 7-9. As of now, I am an overall 16-16. I expect better of myself. I shouldn't have chose those weird things. Like I should have had faith in my Raiders. But hopefully this week works out better for me. What do you think of my picks for this week of the NFL? Tell me what you thought about it in the comments below, and I'll be back with more weekly predictions like this. So, yeah, bye.